Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show we have Carole Ellis, the editor of REI Ink, a monthly print digital real estate magazine for full-time real estate investors and real estate related service providers. Carole, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Before we hopped on here, I mentioned I am grateful that I'm in Texas because it's very cold in other parts of the country. And you mentioned to me that you're currently in Atlanta, Georgia, if I have that correct.
That's right. The magazine is actually based in Missouri. I live in Atlanta most of the year, though, where it's nice and warm right now.
I am definitely not missing the freezing cold. That's for sure. But Carole, how did you get into this space of being a real estate entrepreneur?
I have been working in real estate and with and for real estate investors since about 2006. Shortly before the housing crash, I started working with some people who were creating a short sale product, and it really just took off from there. I mean, I have such admiration for real estate investors. My husband and I have done a fair amount of it ourselves as well. And it's a space that demands ongoing, actionable education that is valuable and timely. And so I just never left.
It's hard to be a real estate investor and have the same exact strategy, for decades. I don't think it may not be possible. I've seen everybody who's been on the show, they've really grown or scaled or shifted. And I say that there's this term, entrepreneurial neuroplasticity. Like you have to be able to think one way, to have one lifestyle. You're a fix and flipper for these 3 to 4 years. And then the next thing you're note buying or you go into hard money lending. And so it sounds like in your journey, you started on your own with your husband, taking a look at different properties. Do I have that right, or am I off there?
Actually, I have been creating content for real estate investors since 2006. It was around 2006 that I started working with them more directly. I did some coaching. We have done everything over the years. I mean, we've done fix and flips, we've done syndications, we did a lot of buy and hold at different income levels. But I mean, my personal primary focus has always been on the content and the educational side. I'm a technical reporter and a medical reporter by trade.
Okay.
So it's hard. Sometimes some of this stuff is hard to explain, and having someone, you have an audit with real estate investors, your audience is so diverse because there's so many creative and innovative people that are drawn to real estate that, it's a real advantage if there's someone who can kind of say, okay, you're extremely educated, but maybe you don't know that much about real estate. Here is the stuff that is relevant right now. And that's where I fit into the equation.
And so if I heard you correctly, technical and medical reporter. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is totally new to me. I haven't had anybody in kind of the news media on the show, or even related, right? I haven't had a fellow podcaster that I'm aware of on the show, and so when when you are in these fields, is it a lifelong passion? Did you knew from a young age that I wanted to be in reporting?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
I've been planning to be a writer since I was 8, so I knew that I was going to write something. Um,
Okay.
and it's a really wonderful area to be in because I think I mentioned to you, like if I ask you too many questions, you have to tell me stop because it's not my interview. I'm not running it. Um, I'm really nosy and I really like learning things, and this is the perfect thing to be able to do. Every month at REI Ink magazine, we do an economic analysis, we do a regional spotlight. I'm constantly interviewing people who are doing the most groundbreaking things in our industry. And my entire job is to monopolize them for some extended period of time until I'm done wondering things about what they do. So
So
it's perfect for me.
I can imagine that with the background that you have, technical and medical, and you get exposure to real estate investors and you realize, oh wow, this isn't something that I previously thought about, but I actually am really interested in this just on a personal level. How can I make this accessible for more people, and how can I uh, have a space for these people to shine? Am I on there?
Yeah, you're inviting me to get on a soapbox. I won't take over your podcast, but the real estate investing population, I feel like really needs to hear because it is so diverse. It's the best group of people. They are so creative, they are so smart, and they're so brave because, the more specialists you get some really specialized people who have been incredibly successful in the medical field or, in engineering or something like that. And then they're like, okay, now I'm going to learn this thing and I'm going to start at ground zero. That's a very brave and creative and dynamic thing to do. And I
Yeah.
don't know of very many other populations that are like that. So, yeah, it is a privilege to write for that population and for the people who serve them, because the people who provide services in real estate investing and the things associated with that specifically are of a similar nature because they are constantly changing right along with the real estate investing population.
To your point, Carol, I've seen it takes a fair degree of ability to network. I call it guerrilla networking or being a networking junkie. You have to be able to analyze deals, and you also have to be comfortable with risk. There's a lot of risk everywhere in our society, but it's amplified in real estate, right? There's a reason why people will take their money out of the stock market and put it into real estate, but of course that comes with risk. And so this was most exemplified recently. I had a skydiving instructor turned real estate entrepreneur on the show. And I asked him, well, what's the similarities that you see? And he's like, honestly, skydiving taught me everything that I needed to know about real estate. And I said, you're
I
kidding
love
me.
that.
And he's like, who can afford to go skydiving? It's already people who are fairly successful. So you would see a lot of the same people regularly. You would see real estate entrepreneurs, you would see attorneys, you would see these types of people. And so I would just have conversations with them. And, they're strapped to my back, so they quite literally are depending on me for their lives. We're jumping out of a perfectly good plane. And when I started to see, maybe I could do this, he transitioned into real estate and he saw the risk there. And he said, I get a similar thrill. Nothing's going to, match jumping out of a plane. But I can relate to that. I mean, it is definitely a thrilling process. And I think people that stay away from real estate and do other forms of investing are adverse to that risk. And so that's what makes real estate appealing to so many people is it's just a totally, I would say, unique way, but it's also part of the American story.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Well, and I think too, I mean, first of all, I don't know that I have any real estate investments that I would place on a level of skydiving in the interest of full disclosure. I don't have that risk appetite. But I think the other thing too is that, it's not just an appetite for risk, but there's a strong, pervasive appetite for active and productive problem solving. Which again is just like a thing that I really admire because, of course, part of it is your business. Like if you are going to successfully invest in real estate, you need to be thinking not just of solving your own problems, but of somebody else's, because otherwise, your target market isn't going to care. But there's also like a real joy in it, and it really manifests when you talk to. I can't think of an investor I've talked to that it hasn't been evident. Just like, not only do I like making money, or do I like doing all these other things that they're doing, but I found a house for a person, or I got this person out of this horrible situation, and they're really proud of that. And I think that every opportunity that that the real estate investing population can be told they should be proud, like they should be, because it's just a really unique space.
The problem
I love
solving
it.
is, as I forgot to mention that, between networking, problem solving, being able to underwrite these deals, it's truly a unique skill set. Like you really have to be able to do a lot of things well. You really, really do. If you think you're just going to come in and it's going to be passive, usually it's not, right? So when people have rental properties and they think, oh, well, this is going to be passive income. I was just speaking to a woman out of Houston, Texas, who is an insurance broker, decided that she wanted to have more passive income, got into having single family rentals and realized this isn't passive at all. This is a whole other job I gave myself. And so it does take that appetite to increase your burden, if you will. At the same point in time, a lot of people love that, right? So I have people on who are heavily involved in Airbnb, short-term rentals, and I've routinely seen that the best Airbnb hosts are the ones that literally like hosting people.
Yeah. I mean, as a former turnkey provider, I will say if you find a good one, don't worry, folks, you can be passive. But it does still require like additional brain space regardless. And absolutely, like I think it's the people that you meet that are like, listen to this. This is what I did, or this is what I came up with, and that are really generous with that information that turn out to be like the most successful investors because they're just excited about doing it.
Pivoting a bit here, Carole, how would you describe the process of growing and scaling a monthly digital real estate magazine, right? So this is something that you created, and how did that process work?
So, in the interest of full disclosure, I am the editor for REI Ink. It is actually it is a magazine that is co-owned by Suzanne Andreessen and Robert Rakowski. They hired me. I have been in this space as a writer for quite a long time, and I've served it as editor. I also worked for Think Realty magazine for a while. I worked for UGA Research magazine, and so they hired me. I'm not the power behind the scale. Although I do feel like content, without good content, there is no scale, because nobody will pay attention.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like the scaling strategy, Bob and Suzanne have really dedicated a massive amount of brain power and financial resources to really trying to think creatively about how to support the real estate industry. Not only with the magazine, but with the things that they do when they go to events. You were talking about guerrilla marketing and stuff like that. They've come up with some really smart ways to bring people in our industry together. They do this thing, I think it's at IMN, where they do a cooking class with all of these different service providers and really, high volume investors, and they all get together and they cook stuff. And when they told me about it, I thought, well, I've never seen that before. And people love it. And it gives people a chance to actually relate. And I think that if you want to scale, especially in this industry where we all place such a premium on our networking ability and our ability to solve each other's problems, you have got to constantly figure out how to relate to other people and other investors and their problems at the same time. But I'm not the personal brains behind the scale of REI Ink, so I don't want to take credit for that. Just the awesome content.
That's right. You're the creative. As far as networking and being able to learn yourself, I'm imagining, just as I've experienced in a short time doing this podcast, that you were able to almost bootstrap your own education in the real estate space, because as you're scaling with your personal portfolio in real estate and doing more deals, you're also able to interact with so many incredible people and hear their stories that it goes hand in hand. Did you find that to be true?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Just to make sure I understand the question, that in the process of networking and educating others, you're also educating yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think that's probably universal for teaching. People will always say like, oh, I learn more from my students than I ever knew myself. And, on one hand, I'm not going to write about things that I don't understand until I have spoken to enough experts in the industry to make sure I understand them, because that's a responsibility that you have when you have tens of thousands. And I mean, I'm going to brag, tens of thousands of people reading. Like, they've got a big distribution list. And they're one of the only, they may be the only now, monthly print real estate related magazine. Not talking about like listings, for real estate investors. So you do have a responsibility. If you need to learn something, like, you need to learn it before you write it, so that you can make sure that you're not telling lots and lots of people the wrong thing. But that being said, that is part of the job. Like, if you don't understand it, you better go learn it before you write it, so that you know what you're doing. So absolutely, like, I can't even think of all the amazing things that I wouldn't know or wouldn't have encountered if it wasn't for this job.
I would say that's actually the biggest benefit for me personally, selfishly, right? So I get to talk to these amazing people, and I know you can relate to this. It's I would never have gotten to meet you and these real estate entrepreneurs any other way. There's no way, right? So I could go to a meetup, right? And I can meet a couple people. I could do that regularly. But then to have your own show, right? Or participate, be a co-host in your own show, to be an editor for real estate syndication is just another level. I've even said this to everybody who's involved in real estate. I've said, look, if you're promoting yourself out there anyhow, if you're already going to these networking events, and if you are trying to get people to invest in your deals, it just makes sense that you would have some type of newsletter, podcast, something. Like, it's just an incredible way to meet people and to network.
Absolutely. So I want to know, like, how has podcasting affected your portfolio?
So personally,
I just
personally,
asked you a question.
No, that's it. That's great. So personally, I'm a real estate agent in Dallas, Texas, newly licensed, and also a real estate wholesaler. So I'm still trying to get some deeds in my name or an LLC that I own. So I'm in the beginning phases. But I'll tell you, this podcast has been incredible for me personally. I've actually launched my own podcast outside of here that I'm the owner of that podcast. I've had many people come to me and see that I'm a co-host of this show. I have my own show. People requesting to come on, and it's also really opened my eyes as far as what people can do in the real estate space. That's probably been the biggest advantage. Is I've spoken with people who build hospitals. I've spoken with people who transform areas of cities, right? And getting their perspective. And I realize, that doesn't seem unattainable now, right? I'm talking with the guy who built a major trauma center in, Tampa, Florida, in a city in Minnesota. Like, if he can do this, and I'm talking to him now, what are the dots that I need to connect to get there? And it's an incredible conversation.
I love that, like that you can see the dots like as a result. That's perfect. That's a really good illustration.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem unattainable if you're talking to someone for a 1-minute conversation. What do you do for work? Oh, I build subdivisions. I build hospitals, trauma centers. Oh yeah, I revitalize cities. I've spoken with people who do this, and I'm like, how, right? How did you? And even when they talk about it, and they talk about their journey, it's shocking to them. They're like, yeah, that is pretty remarkable that this happened. I was talking with one guy who I want to say he ended up getting laid off during COVID. And from there went from tech to now he's revitalizing cities in the East Coast. And I was just thinking, like, of course he didn't see that. No one saw that coming. And so to turn these negatives or potential, difficult times into something overwhelmingly positive is just typical real estate entrepreneur impressive stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
I agree.
So in your journey as you've grown with REI Ink, what have been some of the biggest lessons for you personally and professionally that you've learned from talking with so many real estate entrepreneurs?
Well, I think that it gives you a real appreciation, not just for the successful real estate entrepreneur, but also for like the new real estate entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because you do get to kind of, if you talk to most successful real estate investors, fortunately, are incredibly confident. And so they will tell you, if you say, what's the biggest mistake you ever made? Like they'll actually tell you, which is not true in all professions. But it does, it kind of gives you a new feeling for like, if you're out driving down the street and you see somebody's bandit sign and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so bad. Like it's rude or it's obnoxious or whatever. Or like the person in the car with you is like, oh my gosh, those are so ugly. And then you're like, well, no, actually it's incredibly impressive because somebody was brave enough to take the time on the weekend to go bang that thing into the ground and start trying to change things.
Yeah.
And maybe it is ugly or maybe they did it wrong or whatever, but I think it gives you I think that's something that has informed the way I try to do my interviews and the way that I want to write about that I want to write our cover features or that I want to deal with our, especially our regional spotlights, but also our investor spotlights is there's a lot of humanity out there and there are a lot of people trying things a lot of different ways from a lot of different places in their lives. And because so much of real estate investing involves dealing with people who are probably not having a very good time in their life right now, I think it just kind of gives you a broader perspective overall of like, the whole thing about, everybody's going through something and you don't know what it is, but it helps you kind of look at it from a metric point of view. Like, this is a real thing and here's how I could help or how somebody else I know could help or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable how I'm able to see people pivot. And when I talk about that, it's like, your day-to-day life as a fix and flipper or as someone who is working on distressed properties and transitioning that to being the lender. It's two totally different lifestyles, like completely different. Like one, you're managing crews. The other one, you're networking with people who need money. And so it's just drastically different. Like one, you're potentially getting dirty yourself and having to deal with people showing up on time and so on and so forth. The other one, you're dealing with just collecting money. It's totally different. And the fact that they're able to pivot like this, and it's not just one or two or five, but hundreds of people, and they're all over the country who are experiencing the same thing. It really has given me a profound appreciation for what real estate operators do. And to your point earlier, it's about problem solving. That is really what it comes down to. Problem solving for themselves, problem solving for the community that they're in, problem solving for people who are in difficult spots, right? And so that's where you get all these creative deals from, and these strategies is people coming together and saying, we have a problem here. How do I solve it? It's even to a point, Carole, where there's been times where I've had guests come in, or there's been confusion with bookings, and they're a real estate entrepreneur. I consider myself a budding real estate entrepreneur, and I'm like, hey, we're real estate guys. Let's figure this out. How do okay, the Google Calendar got confused here, or it was an error on my end or on yours, but let's make this work. And every single time they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so that's really, to me, the biggest takeaway right there, with just being absolutely relentless with your networking, is you have to be a problem solver. Like, that's your greatest skill set as a real estate operator. But
I think it's nice too, because it's such a personal industry. Even like if you go to the CEO at the top of the really big guys, like there's still, all of them have like this really personal tie to real estate. I mean, I can only think of one or two people that I've ever interviewed that were like, well, yeah, this is a really big company and I'm good at big companies, so they hired me. And then it was always like, 2 years ago. But like the ones that are really, again, like even the biggest of even some of those really big institutional rental companies that spend a lot of time getting vilified, not always entirely reasonably, in the press, the people that are working in them are real people, and they are real problem solvers. Sometimes some of that gets lost maybe in the size, I don't know. But I think that just makes it a really, you have to be willing to also be a real person, I think, if you want to really be successful in real estate.
It's a contact sport. I had a mentor, a previous boss of mine, Frankie, who told me that, and it's so accurate. It is literally a contact sport. You are not going to be successful in real estate unless you are meeting as many people as you can, or you have lots of money and you want to utilize real estate as a way to see returns on it. But even then, probably you're still meeting tons of people. I'm yet to find someone who's a real estate investor who's stayed at home all the time and is doing everything from their laptop, and that's how they got started. I've never seen that. And when people talk about that passive income, we didn't get a chance to talk about this today, but when people talk about that passive income, there's a lot of it that you're having to go out and get your hands dirty, so to speak. You really have to go and meet all these people. You have to learn about the contracts. You have to find out how to acquire these properties. You have to figure out how to get funding for these properties. You're then dealing with tenants, with collecting rents, with maintenance, with then selling the property when you go to sell it. Well, now the market's down. What are you going to do? Well, let me Airbnb it out. There's so much that goes into it that it's really not something you can just sit up and rest and say, oh, okay, now I'm a real estate investor. It's going to be peachy from here.
It would be nice, but it doesn't work quite that way.
Carole, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Well, probably the easiest way is to email me. It's CAROLE at REI Ink, REI-INK.com. That is the easiest way to reach me directly. Of course, you can also go to REIInk.com. Or please, seriously, I would appreciate this. Find us on LinkedIn, because that is where I go or on Facebook, because that's where I go when I need source material. So, and again, the wonderful thing about real estate investors is that they're legitimately all experts in something. And I need that personally. So, find the magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook, and then find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, because it is really important for me to constantly talk to people who are doing all of the things, and I cannot personally do all of the things in all of the markets in all of the country. I will never steal your stuff. I will always cite you, name, business, title, all that. It would be a service to me that I would really appreciate. And also we've got really good content, and it's timely and breaking, and it's a good place to go for information about what's going on in the industry today and who is doing it.
Carole, thank you so much for coming on the show today, for giving me some insight into the media space of real estate. Haven't had any guest who's in that space yet, especially print media. And keep holding strong. We got to get print media to grow, and not just survive, but to stick around for as long as it possibly can. Carole, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.